I'm going to ask Stephen and Dave, most of you have met them already, to quickly introduce themselves, but also introduce their brands if you're not familiar with them. Steve, start.
Sure. Good morning, and thank you for having me, Steve. Good to be back. Stephen Clark. I'm the Director of Marketing and Public Relations for Golden Krust. We are the largest Caribbean franchise restaurant in the United States. We have 110 restaurants in 8 states. Family business. My uncle started it back in 1989. And we are aggressively expanding next year into the CPG side with a microwavable version of our product. And it's good to be here.
What is, sort of describe the product menu a little bit.
So we sell authentic Jamaican cuisine. Everything is cooked from scratch, made fresh daily, every day. We have a wide variety of Jamaican style patties, which is similar to an empanada, but far more superior. So, we have all kinds of flavors: beef, chicken, vegetable. We had a Beyond Meat product that we launched.
I have you in my freezer waiting.
Thank you very much. I want to get in more freezers. We just redid the packaging of our 10-pack to be like the soda can model, where you own a space in someone's cupboard. So when the front of it has a perforated opening, you punch in, and once it's done, you have to replace that box. So we actually got a feature from Lizzo, who was a devout vegan when we launched the product, and we got her to go on our Instagram Live, and she was speaking in Jamaican expletives, which to me was impressive because I didn't know she knew anything about Jamaica. So as much as we're lucky to sell these foods, the jerk chickens, oxtails, rice and peas, sweet plantains, it's a full menu outside of the patties. We're more blessed to sell the culture. To see Lizzo speaking in Jamaican tongues was just another example of that.
Dave, your brand is a little more self-descriptive.
Yeah, we have hot chicken.
Correct.
Now, Dave's Hot Chicken, it's Nashville-style hot chicken. We have sliders and tenders, a really very limited menu. And I joined the company back in March, and when they had 8 locations, we're up to, I think, 92 today. We had 4 opened yesterday.
Congratulations.
And you are, this is, I mean, not to be punny, this is a very hot brand. I mean, I was directed to you by another QSR who said these guys are really moving and doing something really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, very fortunate. And, we have a very lean team that opens stores, but also continued marketing and with the franchisees. It's an exciting ride because not only opening a lot, but we have our franchisees, who are most of our growth, are a big part of that. They're very experienced. A lot of the other concepts, they have restaurants for other concepts.
That's good.
So.
Well, we will come back to this because, of course, the big question that comes out of this is, like, we need more chicken? Really? But so we'll get to that. But let's start with you, Stephen. And before we go into the Golden Krust creative and you walk us through it, let's start by as a brand, what does the creative need to solve for? What's the major sort of strategic problem that creative needs to overcome when you're thinking about this is the main message that you're bringing to people?
Well, truthfully, it's a representation of our culture, right? I don't think if I was to ask anyone here, anybody want to go to Jamaica, nobody would be like, no, I'm good, I'll stay back. I think there's a certain affinity for our island. It reminds me of Santa Barbara, to be honest. I think I was telling somebody, there's a certain enchantment about the culture, the food, the people, the music, the everything Irie kind of feel. So we have to sell that in our culture. So that's our crux. That we know that we have to bounce off of that foundation. But the other hurdle is education. Because when I say patty in this room, I don't even like to say patty, to be honest. It's called a patty. I hate rounding my T's. I don't know how it turned to be that way. So when I say patty in this room, everybody's thinking burger buns, lettuce, but it's not what I sell. So there's an aggressive slope to get to the broader market, to get everybody to think of a patty as a superior empanada. And that is my challenge that I'm trying to address to break into the broader audience.
Okay. So with that in mind, walk us through.
Sure.
Telling us what we're seeing and tell us a little bit about some of the thinking that went into each.
So again, Jamaican style food, Jamaican style patties, right? Maybe that's how I should preface it instead of just saying patties. I'll say Jamaican style. So what I brought to the business was an injection of innovation that was a necessity at the period when delivery was not a thing for us in 2019. So we negotiated all the rates with the big third-party delivery vendors. Had a great time hosting the roundtable on delivery yesterday, so this is quite fitting. But bringing that convenience to the system that was absent was very important for us. So we just started doing digital marketing, which is again new to our franchisees. They still don't get it. Impressions and clicks, they're still trying to understand all of these things. Store visit data is very important. So what we did was marry the traction that we were getting with the 9 Rooftops bid. Their strategies were really proving out. On YouTube, we are lower than the biddable amount. The lowest you can bid is 10 cents. We're getting views at a penny. So we said we're going to lean into this. We saw delivery sales going up 47% after we kicked this off. And now we have enterprise access. We can see what's going on. Because without that, you're just on a hunch. So our creative team is based in Jamaica. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about the culture. And we wanted to do something to amplify this delivery trend and the positive metrics we're seeing on YouTube. So we said, you know what, let's shoot a commercial and do delivery in a very Jamaican way. So we said, let's do it Jamaican style, and we're gonna get some jet skis, all right? It wasn't the initial,
What? Wait a minute.
yeah.
You make that sound as if that's a logical leap. Let's get some jet skis.
No, let's get some jet skis, and it's as ridiculous as it sounds, and I'm proud of it, because at the end of the day, what we wanted to generate was culturally relevant, scroll-stopping content. At the end of the day, if I'm on my device, which is what we're doing, this is digital, we're talking YouTube, we're talking Instagram. If I see a guy hooking a left in Pembroke Pines on a jet ski, I feel like I'll be more inclined to stop. So it was ridiculous with intent. So these are the things that it takes to bring this crazy idea to life. You need patience, you need excellent weather, and for some reason it was torrential, like we couldn't get hurricane season, Florida, Jamaica, not good. Jet skis, of course. Riders for the jet skis that actually look alike in 2 different countries. Yes, we found somebody with dreadlocks, I'm sorry. Talent, like amazing Jamaican food, which we shot. The drones and the drone operators, which were very hard to find. FAA clearance to shoot all this stuff in Florida, because you can't just go around recording highways in 4K. And then clearance. So I had to sell this crazy idea to the folks at DoorDash, to the folks at Grubhub. I actually got them to send me actual bags, and I have them in my office as like a trophy to show that this thing does work. Not everything does work. Uber didn't want to do it. I must be very transparent. Uber said no, they talked to the legal guys, there's no way it's realistic. Of course it's not realistic, that's the point. So we moved on. So this is a bit of the behind the scenes. These are said jet skis. That's some of the overhead footage. That's the raw footage that you see in motion on the right. And this is kind of what it took to bring this together. So these are the bags. Grubhub is our 3rd best performer. DoorDash 2nd, eclipsing, coming up on Uber Eats, but Uber Eats is still our number 1. But what we want to push is our own loyalty solution, Golden Crust Rewards, which we've built and launched, and at this point just needs adaptation. But very good solution, spend 50, get 5, it's the 10% off model. And these things are important for us because I'm very deliberate in my approach. This gives me the flexibility and the capabilities to do a DoorDash specific feature if I am running first order 20% off, so to speak. Or if I'm doing, Grubhub specific stuff. I like to be very detailed and accurate. So this is the level that we're trying to operate at. So what do we see from this? We launched this about 4 months ago. We've seen 600,000 views so far. The average view through rate, VTR, is 59% in the QSR space. In October, we were at 80. So folks who are seeing this are watching it at highest levels. And then it performed so well, we moved it to television in New York, Florida, and Georgia, which are our biggest markets. And from then, we've seen an increase of 7%, which for us was good because we were clocking at a high level to begin with.
What?
Year over year sales.
Sales.
Delivery sales, correct.
Sales, not foot traffic.
No, sales. But what's also important is not the sales increase, but the new customers. Because that's my game, increasing trial. And next year, I promise I'll bring Jamaican-style patties for everybody. And you can hold me accountable to that. So let's take a look at the spot.
Want yard-style Jamaican food, cooked from scratch with the freshest ingredients. Order Golden Crust for delivery now. As you order it, so we send it. Quick and fast, just like that.
That's a Jamaican patty. Finally, I can show it to you guys.
Good food that tastes like it comes straight.
So that's how we roll. It's not gonna be a scooter. It's not gonna be a moped. This is one of my favorite shots, actually.
GoldenCrust.com to savor the flavor of Jamaica.
Show the family style packaging. We just redid the packaging for
Authentic
restaurant and
Jamaican
retail.
food. We will send the jet ski.
So that's the jet ski spot. Thank you. So since then, we've leaned aggressively into it. November, we did free delivery all month, and I reported some of the performance on that already. Now we're doing spend 35, get 5 for everyone. And every year in the first Saturday of August is National Jamaican Patty Day. We started that in 2015, so we're gonna continue to do that where, you know, you get promotions in store, promotions online, but we have gotten our buy-in from the delivery partners. So DoorDash is sending our promotions to their, 1 million contacts. Uber Eats, as you see in this screenshot here, is generating push notifications and emailing for us. So everybody's got to have skin in the game. We work too hard to have anybody just collecting. So I challenge them there. This is the group that we work with in Jamaica. This is an actual patty party. So you see we did animation, and there are actually even flakes on the ground because our product is very flaky. But every year, as a part of what we do, we give away a trip to Jamaica as a Patty Day getaway. So you enter online, you tag a friend, and then of course we coupled it with free delivery, and we actually won an American Advertising Award. So for us, that was a proud moment for me, as a brand from Jamaica, a kid from Kingston with an ad agency from Jamaica, to be able to win an award in a fairly well-recognized institution. This is the categories illustration, by the way. I was very happy for that. So we're going to continue to push the brand, push the culture, and I thank you guys for listening today.
Cool. A couple of quick questions before we get to Dave. How are you already planning on So are you going to keep with the jet ski motif and extend it and play with it in other venues, or come up with something else?
We're going to try to do it in other ways. So there are other very popular vehicles in Jamaica that we can use. Next year is the 30th anniversary of what I think is the most popular Jamaican film of all time, Cool Runnings. I am directly in touch with Malik Yoba. I sponsored an event he had at the Apollo Theater in Harlem a few weeks ago to kind of grease the gears.
Malik, is that what we're going to be?
It's probably going to be on a bobsled. You know, the Cool Runnings. Cool Runnings is very bobsled, and that's just a testament to Jamaican culture, right? How can a bobsled movie from Jamaica be big? It's because of the island. So something along those lines will work. Minivans are big in Jamaica. My uncle used to drive a minivan, who started the brand. He used to drive a minibus in the hills. And the Honda 50s, they call them, the putt-putt bikes. Those are big in Kingston too. So there's a roadmap for it, and we're going to continue to challenge the creative gradient, because I think we have an opportunity to message wider than most.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Dave, now burn us.
I'll burn you. I'll try. Our origins really inform our whole creative strategy. So when it started in 2017, there were 4 guys from LA that really didn't have any money. One of them happened to have been a chef trained in the French Laundry Group, Dave Capuchian. And they used that money to buy a fryer and heat lamps and the recipe he developed after visiting Nashville, and set it up in a parking lot. And so in that parking lot, it was gritty, grimy, and the graffiti was all over and everything. And they were just some cool guys out there. But Armin Oganesian, another one of the founders, was on Instagram all the time. And so he was posting pictures and direct messaging people. The guy from Eater LA, Farley Elliott, came out and wrote a story on it about it being mind-blowing chicken. And that really made it take off. And my boss, Bill Phelps, who started Wetzel's Pretzels and invested in Blaze Pizza, saw the concept and came out and said, you know what, this would be great. It's a simple menu. Those guys, they knew it was simple. They loved In-N-Out and wanted to focus on something like In-N-Out. So that same kind of mentality and creativity and like street grit informs the creative strategy today. In Instagram, we built a following that was, it continues to grow. It's well over 700,000. It's the heart and soul of our brand. But we knew at some point we had to move beyond that as we grew larger and wanted to keep it, expanding our sales. Same target demo, same food porn like that we have on Instagram, as I like to call it. But we wanted to look at other ways to expand that. So when Bill Phelps invested, another minority investor is also Drake. And we have some other celebrities too that have invested. But we wanted to leverage that, but we wanted to stay true to our core. And that means being non-corporate. We don't have any discounts. We don't do limited time offerings. So how do we continue to create the excitement and keep the coolness while still doing that? So we decided the next area to really go was, leveraging Drake and his followers. He's an investor. He's not really a promoter. So we wanted to be careful about doing that. And the whole thing is keeping it cool. So on October 21st, we actually started a new campaign with the first major tentpole being the 24th, which was Drake's birthday, where we offered a free tender or slider. And it was pretty much promoted first on our Instagram and his, where he posted on his as a story, and got 27 million views in 24 hours. And that day, we also started running some paid media the Friday before. The first time we really did any kind of paid media. But with that campaign and launch of it, these ads kicked it off, really. And we wanted to the food is not perfect intentionally. We don't really play with it and mess with it too much. Most of the photographs are taken by Armin's friend. So we tried to do a creative brief around it, and just to make sure it was within some bounds. But it's meant to be, street food. So that's the whole idea around it.
You want to walk us through?
Yeah, and then the big green button, right? So
Actually, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do want to set up
Yeah,
also.
go ahead.
There's a lot of competition out there in chicken, in wings, in hot.
Oh.
How do you so you explained what the challenge is in terms that you want to maintain those street roots. That's part of the brief here. The messiness of it is actually the messiness and the imperfection of it is actually part of the feature, not a bug. But when you're thinking about coming into a world that is swamped with chicken, right, and hot chicken of all different kinds, are you thinking about the competition in any way? Or are you simply relying on your own story as the main differentiator?
Well, actually, if you talk to our founders, who are still major holders of the company, and myself, they actually don't like to look at the competition. And the reason for that is that they want us to have the best chicken that people can experience, but they don't want to really compare us, and they want to be special and simple. So we want to do one thing, and we want to do it right, and we just say, chicken is our superpower. So, and it's niche. It's the best way to get Nashville hot style chicken.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
regional. There are
But I think
regional
that's
competitors.
an important point, is that you think essentially your own qualities will come through, and that in part that focus, that laser focus on the one product, is actually one of the main selling points.
Right. So we did get a lot of PR around it too. Complex, and we had about 200 million impressions for that day. So it featured not only stuff in Complex, but a lot of other magazines and news coverage and so on, People Magazine. And then we also did, social, both organic and paid, continuing to talk about the free tender or slider day. And then as part of it, we also produced videos. So our new tagline is "Don't die before you try it." The first time we've entered it, and being non-corporate, we didn't want to have any of your typical types of advertising, bites and smiles and happy faces and everything. So and part of it is also comedy is part of our brand too. Armin was a comedian. It still is a comedian. He actually did at our franchise convention, he did a comedy act. But we brought on Partyland.
At which everyone was required to laugh.
Of course they did.
The boss is doing stand-up.
Right. I mean, he's a 30-year-old guy, like tattoos all over our logos. He's got his logo on his arm. So the logo's not going to change, right? So, and so I had to, when we went through an agency selection process, the biggest thing was there a good connection with Armin, right? Making sure it was there. And I'm not 30 years old, obviously. So I got to make sure it really is great for our target of thugs and bros, right? Essentially. So, we knew not every people aren't going to like it. There's going to be tons of people that don't like it, and that's okay, as long as our target audience loves it, right, and shares it. So this I should have showed before the ads, but this is when we posted it on Instagram and TikTok. You got millions of views on it, and the comments are just hilarious. So let me show the ad, and I'll come back to this, because these are comments about the ads. And this is, we did 2 30-second ads, and there's programmatic display, organic social, paid social, YouTube, and also we did ESPN.com, all within 5-mile radiuses around the locations.
No one loved hot chicken more than my friend Sam. And this juicy, hot, spiced to order Dave's Hot Chicken would have been his favorite of all time if it wasn't for his other passion, driving with his head out the sunroof.
Stick your head out, Wiggles!
Wiggles, no!
Please don't mess up and die before you eat Dave's.
It's and so that's the sunroof one. And Wiggles, the dog, of course, became the hero, and everybody was wondering if he died. But
All concerned about
the pet, right?
Oh, that dog didn't die.
Right. But it was interesting making sure we got the appetite appeal. I mean, without limited time offers and price discounts and stuff, we had to make sure the appetite appeal came through. There's a second execution that we did. I'll show that.
This food is Dave's Hot Chicken. It's juicy, hot, and spiced to order. My brother Ryan loved hot chicken, and he would have loved Dave's if it weren't for his other love, time travel.
And now, to warn the dinosaurs about the asteroid. Goodbye, idiots.
And there's our bite and cry. And you can imagine the legs that this campaign has, like the directions we can take it for later. So it's a lot of fun. And if you were a 50-year-old woman, we probably would have, we get complaints. So it's really, we actually went, and having been in CPG marketing, we did ASI testing even, just to make sure that we got great recall and persuasion, and it did. For our target audience, these things were through the roof, like in the top 5% of all the ads they tested. And, but we knew there's blowback, and so that's part of it. We didn't expect the Wiggles blowback, the dog, but we knew that there were older people who really didn't like these ads. That it's like, I can't believe you can advertise that.
But of course, the Wiggles blowback was just an opportunity.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely. But we don't want to cut off the discussion. We're not going to say that he's still alive, even though he is. We'll let them debate about it.
What's the thinking going forward? So is this sort of rinse and repeat, that you're going to essentially be able to play this template out in a whole bunch of different ways with many different ways to die?
Well, we went through about
with a compilation video at the end of the year.
Right. Well, it's not like we don't have a huge media budget, as you can imagine, being so new. But the idea is that we will run this through. There'll be new executions on the same campaign, and then just other earned media things that we can do around it. So that'll be a lot of fun.
But
and
at the
those
end
are-
of the year, you could do like the Oscars and in memoriam video of all the people.
Oh, that's a
all of
great
the
idea.
customers who
Yes,
died.
yes, yes. Well, and the time machine lends
We
itself
getting
to people
cuts for
coming
this.
back.
I really should be negotiating deals for this. All right. Let's open it up for questions.
Brandon with Ground Truth. You guys both are focusing on pretty niche audiences in your pursuit, right? You have a target, a very clear target you're going after. Some education to do there. Are you getting pushback internally for that, or in your case, for Dave's, from franchisees, where they're questioning whether you should be going more broadly? I love the approach, by the way, so I'm not criticizing. I'm just curious what the internal kind of commotion is.
Actually, I get pushback if I try to go broader, right? So we know actually 75% of our customers are 35 or younger. So, and you know what? Those are the people, everything lines up with that. The product, the pricing, the distribution, where we go, where the restaurants are, and all the promotions. So those are like heavy users of QSR anyway, or fast casual. We consider ourselves fast casual because it's all made and spiced to order. And pretty big portions. If you've eaten at Dave's, that fits that target too.
Stephen, you're really not niche in the sense that you really want a broad audience. I mean, you're trying to educate and bring and broaden the appeal
Correct.
of Jamaican food.
Correct. My uncle, Lowell Hawthorne, who started this business, jokingly said, but I think he really meant it, he's going to open a Golden Crust wherever Air Jamaica flies to. So Air Jamaica would fly to New York, they would fly to Georgia, they would fly to Florida. Those are our three biggest markets today. Internally, and I just believe in being prepared. If you're prepared, it's very hard to give you this pushback. Because if you have a plan and a vision and you're executing it properly and it's performing, then I think you get less pushback when you put wins on the board. Internally, I have a methodology called the Blue Moho methodology. It's the national tree of Jamaica, for those who did not know that. And for the root audience is that, the core customer, the Jamaican who comes in, knows he wants his oxtail, he's coming in 2 times a week. You know that's the root. So as the tree continues to grow, naturally you want some branches. The branches are offshoots of the root, and that's like my son, Noah. He's the best. He's 3, and he was not born in Jamaica, but he is very Jamaican. He knows the music, knows the dances, knows the food. So it's a less of a slope to market to him. And then naturally, as this tree hopefully continues to flourish, we will get leaves, and the leaves are the broader addressable audience. And that's how we bucket our funds, and that's how we are specific to our content. We do copy to each of them. When we did the Beyond Meat launch, it was probably the most complex. It was like 300 different assets by, copy, vendor, delivery channel. So that's how we go to market. That's how the franchisees are told and sold on it. That's what we presented last week in those same 3 cities. And it doesn't really cause for friction when it's performing.
Love the focus. The focus is awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Hi, Taylor Fisher with Fat Brands. Dave, I've got a question for you. With your single day Drake's birthday campaign, love to see it. I'm curious, I've experienced a lot of single day campaigns. They can be a ton of fun. You can drive a ton of traffic on a single day, but I'm curious what sales look like afterwards. I know we're only a couple weeks out from there at this point, but what has that been looking like for you guys?
Yeah, sales continue to be pretty strong. We're so new. Building awareness and trial is really important, and so huge awareness numbers. We'll actually be doing a post-awareness study in a few weeks. But just from the number of guests and the new guests that showed up, we could measure the number of new guests. We got a lot of trial. So the repeats continuing to come in. We know the product delivery is really good, and so continue to see growth. And when we did it, we actually did test markets. Test markets we saw, and we actually did a small PR test market in Menominee Falls, outside of Milwaukee. It took a while. It takes the frequency, after the week after, it didn't go up, but then it built over time as the people came back. So we know that it will continue to build as the purchase cycle continues down that path. So, yeah.
I have a question, Stephen. So I actually, the first place I had Jamaican beef patty was Golden Crust.
Thank you very much. Thank you
And
very
I
much.
also had the cola champagne. I still love it. So
Very good beverage.
yeah. So I was wondering, are you guys going to expand to other states? I don't know if you are international yet, so I'll be curious to hear.
Well, you don't win every game, right? So we actually we are expanding. So outside of New York, Florida, Georgia, we're in Maryland, North Carolina, Texas. Texas is, newer for us. North Carolina is new for us. Those markets are coming along well. It is harder to support these outlying regions from an operational standpoint. Before marketing, I was in operations. We went to Canada and it did not work. Canada it might be close to New York, but it's a whole new ball game up there. That was around the period when there was a lot of tariff changes and it was costing us more to send a case of chicken patties to the border than it was to send our executive chef up there. And he was going up there every month and making these by hand after running the restaurant for the day. It's not easy to run our restaurant. These chefs are in at like 4 a.m. The food takes forever to make. So we have tried international expansion, as if you call Canada that, and our 2 stores that were there that probably had opportunity, just needed some more dedicated resource. So until we have that firm infrastructure where we can feel like we have a good chef, a good manager, a good ops team, you can't go up there every month and think it's gonna work. And the talent, you have to make sure you're in the right area. As a Jamaican restaurant, if someone comes in, and it's going to be a challenge long term, and if you're a Jamaican customer and you don't see a Jamaican person, then they start to doubt the authenticity of the food, which is an interesting hurdle that I'm going to have to navigate. But in Brampton, to be specific, it's a very non-Jamaican community. So when the Jamaicans came in, they were like, wait a minute, something's not right here. But, expansion will come. Folks have asked us if we're going to open one in Jamaica. I think that would be really nice. But, manufacturing from our facility in Park Avenue in the Bronx, we just have to be mindful of, natural shipping costs and logistics. But it will come in time. I think right now we're just trying to expand in the regions that we have a footprint. So Metro New York, we have 60. I don't know where you tried your first Golden Crust.
New York, yeah.
What part?
Jamaica, Queens.
I went to St. John's. Jamaica, Queens is my backyard
Yeah.
at the time. So now we're getting into more of the rural areas of New York because we're kind of saturated in the city. Brooklyn and Queens is 33 restaurants right there. Mm-hmm. So the ones that we've opened up 3 or 4 in the last few months have been more north. Peekskill, Newburgh, Stratford, Connecticut, like where there is not a heavy Jamaican population. So I'm very excited to see how those restaurants perform because that will show us if we can, water the leaves, so to speak.
I can't wait to try it.
Please
It
do.
sounds
This is
delicious.
great. It's great.
It's going to be a while for California, so I have to go to New York.
They have go to Wegmans. They have them frozen in one.
Correct.
That's where I found them.
Thank you.
One final observation I want to make. I want to see how you guys respond to this. I think the great thing about both of your approaches is that you've got a core of authenticity to the brand that's at the core of both of your campaigns. You're really staying very true to a very core part of who you guys are, where you come from, and what you're about. But on the other side, both of these campaigns seem a little bit more about sensibility than about product, in that you're not necessarily selling the product or the product qualities. And I'm curious if that's a conversation that you guys have, that you're not necessarily you're not selling taste, you're not selling particular quality, but instead you're selling sensibility. Do you guys think about that, or you talk about that at all, or does it come? Is it an issue?
We definitely was a huge consideration because our founders wanted to just make it funny and edgy and everything, and coming from brand, I wanted to make sure the appetite appeal was there and that it was clear enough and yummy enough because our Instagram is the pillar and the appeal from that is really what built the business. So that's why we did the testing. That's why we did ad testing on it, to make sure the appetite appeal came through, that it was well above the norms, and not being able to have a really strong call to action without price or LTO either.
But to be fair, both of you do show not tell. I mean, you are showing the food, and in that case, you're using that massive sandwich, which is like,
and they are massive.
No matter what he says, you're not going to miss that.
Right,
And you are essentially showing the menu through
Correct.
this. You're showing the food itself.
Correct.
And that's what you're leaving it to, is rather than tell, just show.
Yeah, and I mean, for us, it's an exhibition of the culture. If I can continue to showcase the beauty and the culture of Jamaica, I think that will magnetize folks. So, you see the beach shots, you see the jet skis, and then you see the food, and I think it's just a gentle reminder that and the thing about delivery for us that I tell people all the time, it's because we're Jamaican food, it's food that well traveled, but it also travels well. So like we have an advantage over a lot of competitors because you can put this stuff in our packaging and send it for as long as you want. It's going to show up pretty much still warm and still in very high quality. So we're going to continue to lean into the culture, lean into that differentiator that we have in the well-traveled foods, and see what kind of expansion we can do. I think for us, it's taking these authenticities and making them more easy to digest. So like there's no reason why I don't have a salad on my menu. I should have a jerk chicken salad. That's easier for you. You're like, oh, salad, I get that. Sandwich, I don't even have a sandwich. Yeah. So right now I have actually a request in. We just hired a VP of supply chain, and I requested a few weeks ago to source our own marinated jerk chicken that we sell to the system, but in boneless, because now I have a whole new set of opportunities available to me. I can do tacos if I want. So those kinds of things. And marketers, as somebody said the other day, they don't get the credit. But these are the things that changes, hopefully, our addressable audience with easier to recognize vehicles for food and not, just a combo plate that you don't know what's in it. So that's our goal.
To add a little bit to your question, typically I'd always want to have see and say, right, for even the food. And so we were really careful with the copy of what the person says in the restaurant. Juicy, hot, and spiced to order, right? Even though we didn't have the text saying it underneath, which we'd rather have the visual of the food connote that, and then the person who's had their friend who died, right, talk about like why they're sad because they weren't able to try it. So we knew it, but I wanted to measure it to make sure it could still come through.
Steve and Dave, thanks. That was
Thank
really
you.
fun.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Thank
Well
you.
done. Good job to the Media Post team. Thank you, Dave.
That is a wrap.